PodcastOne.com presents Back and Forth with Shawn and Larry King, where a TV and radio icon and his multi-talented, beautiful, and much younger wife interview celebs and newsmakers and pull back the curtain on what goes on in their home life. Now, here's your hosts, Shawn and Larry King.
Hi, gang. Welcome to
Back and Forth
with
Shawn and
Larry.
Go ahead, say it.
King, and look who's here. It's Norm Pattis, our leader, visiting us, and others out there. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Good, because
Yay.
we're about to start. Okay.
All right, off
Here
we
we
go. The beginning of the show. I do.
Anyway. It was.
Larry says, well, anyway.
Well, anyway.
What does that mean?
It's Rickles. Well, anyway. Do you have a bucket list, my dear?
Yeah, I think
What would you like to do
I
that
think
you have not done?
Oh, there are a lot of things.
Like?
Well, I did go up in a hot air balloon, and I thought it was so different than I thought it would be. I thought my hair was going to catch fire, so I won't do that again.
What's something you would like to do?
I would like to jump. You had this opportunity and didn't take it, but I would like to jump out of an airplane. No, you don't. I don't.
I had an opportunity to go with President Bush, to jump with President Bush when he turned 80.
Yep.
And we were going to jump out of a plane together, tied together, and the parachute would open. And we'd be, in cons together. And the last minute, I was scheduled to fly out to Texas for the jump. And
I told you can't go.
My cardiologist also said I couldn't go. But I wimpily told him.
Is that a word? Let's look it up.
He went at 90.
Yeah, he just went.
After he was ill and everything, he got to come out of bed, and he went at 90.
Yep.
So I have no desire to jump out of a plane. I would have done it for him, because I would have felt protected with the president, be attached to a president.
I wonder if the Secret Service went out on either side of him as he was jumping out of the plane.
I would doubt it.
Well, I would think they'd have to.
Who's going to attack him in the sky?
You never
What is he going to be, harpooned?
Hey, Larry.
Hey. What is he going to be, harpooned?
No, you just don't know. You just don't. You can never be too careful.
So you think the Secret Service would have been assigned to send guys?
Yeah, I do. We should call and find out. Let's call them and let's call our friends, the Bushes.
Yeah. I just got a letter from Bob.
I know.
Yeah.
I know you did. You showed it to me.
Now, you were going to bring up something today. You made a little note.
No, we just had no. Look, I always make little notes, but the other night, Larry and I were watching an older movie, Unfaithful. Richard Gere and Diane Lane were in it, and it was at a very, very crucial point in the movie.
Very crucial.
And he said something to Diane Lane, and how did it go? I'm trying to remember how.
The sequence leading up to it was Diane Lane has had an affair with this very attractive young Frenchman. She's in love with Richard Gere, but she's had this affair, and now there's a confrontation scene.
Yeah.
And Richard Gere is speaking to Diane Lane.
And so Larry says, I can't hear this. And I turned to him and I said, good, because neither can I.
So here we are.
Now, the reason for this is, go ahead.
Is what?
Well, is that both of us are deaf.
Now, we're wearing gigantic earphones now, and we're sitting next to each other and barely hearing each other.
No, but you thought that I was being mean,
No, it was
that
funny.
I was happy that you couldn't hear it. But the truth of it was, every time I turn the TV up, you turn to me and say, turn it down, it's too loud, you're hurting my ears. And so I was actually, for once, glad that you couldn't hear it.
Well, my hearing's not any better. It's getting worse because I think you're contagious. I think you have given me ear failure.
It came from many years of singing and being on the road and standing next to drums.
I wore earphones for years on the radio with loud music playing in my ear and all that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we should both be heavily damaged. I can hear a ring, and I'll give you the note right now. Let's see. That's what I hear all the time in my left ear.
So wait a minute.
It's riffing. I know.
Wait a minute.
Listening.
When we're in bed, you're on my right side. So
that's right.
It's your left. I can say anything.
Maybe or maybe it's me tuning you out. I'm not sure.
Probably the latter.
Yeah, I would never want to tune you out, Larry.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, I understand you have an appointment for ears. You're going to have your ears checked?
I do, in 2 days.
What are they going to do?
They're going to go in and see. Oh my gosh, why are we talking about my medical history? I have otosclerosis. Well, also that's another. Yeah, the tinnitus is where you have the ringing. But my bones calcified years ago, and so they replaced them in my left ear with a little piston, a Teflon piston. John House at the House Institute.
Wait a minute, hold it. You went to John House?
I did.
That's a famous place.
Yeah, and he actually did the surgery.
You have a piston in your ear?
I have a Teflon piston that instead of a bone vibrating, I have a metal piston vibrating.
Oh, wow. We're married a long time, and I've never known that. You never told me.
You know what? Guess what? I have told you that.
You never. Well, I didn't hear you. I didn't know you had a piston in your ear.
Okay, or you just weren't paying attention.
Oh.
It's one of the two.
What else? You were going to do another thing. You made notes for the podcast.
Larry came home the other day from a commercial shoot, and he always tells me how it went. And it
was a big commercial shoot. We can't announce it yet.
Can't announce it yet.
They're announcing it in January, but it was a biggie.
Huge. And he comes home. He says, "I did such a great job today. We finished. They gave me a standing ovation." And my response was, "Were they already standing?" Because when you're shooting a commercial, most everybody is standing. They're doing their job. They're running the cameras. They're powdering your nose, and they're holding the lights. So I would imagine they weren't like all sitting down in a theater.
The problem was this pesky little wife of mine happened to be correct. They all were standing because they're producing a TV commercial with directors and writers and people. No one was sitting.
Yeah.
So when I said I got a standing ovation, it probably hit her right away. She knows television. She's done it many years. And she pictured the scene of, say, 80 people mingling around. And if they got a standing ovation, they would have had to leap in the air. Maybe they did do that.
I would have liked to have seen.
Maybe they were leaping.
They were leaping and clapping.
You know, so this is called husband-wife torture. In other words, you come home.
Yeah.
Every husband will relate to this. You come home with a great story.
Yeah.
A great story. They got to deflate you.
I was not deflating you. It was just a question. I mean, I was.
I got a standing ovation.
I was playing with you.
Were they sitting? You know what I mean?
No, I said, were they already standing?
Were they already standing? In other words, let's put it this way. It takes away from it.
No, it was a loving little jab. It wasn't a jab. It was I know they were already standing. I've been there. I've been at, many commercial shoots.
Okay.
So
you've had your sitting ovations.
I've had my
sitting
standing
ovations. Okay.
I've had many sitting ovations.
All right. We were talking about the bucket list, and I don't have any bucket list. I'm 81 years old.
Really? You've done everything you want to do?
No, there's certain things that people have on a bucket list that I would never do, like ski. I would never ski.
Why would you not
get up on top
By
of
the way, Larry, you know which tweet that got the most retweets this last Sunday?
What?
You said, "I went water skiing, ... got an enema."
But now we shall reveal this. I've never gone water skiing. That was done as a joke from the wild one here, the tetanitis one here. Anyway, with the piston in her ear. Piston face. I got a new thing to live with. Anyway.
I thought it was funny.
Okay,
but
it was funny.
That's really the only tweet I've ever fed you. I think I gave you one other one.
Yeah, it was funny.
But it was funny. I just thought
funny.
it was funny.
So
I know of a girl that did happen to. The poor thing. She was on a first date with my first husband, and she dated him, obviously, right? I mean, before I did. Oh gosh, I hope she's not listening.
If this didn't happen to her, he'd never met you.
That's true. But she went skiing on a first date with him, water skiing. And when you're water skiing, if you don't stand up, you're squatting on skis, and you are going through the water at however many miles an hour the boat is going. And so this girl, poor thing, she just couldn't push down on her legs to get lifted up out of the water. And so finally she just let go of the ropes and she went back in the boat. Oh my gosh, why am I telling this gross story?
Because it's funny.
So she gets back in the boat and she's sitting there.
Are you going to go right to the end with this?
Poor thing. She just...
She what?
Did what happens when you get an enema all over the boat. It was terrible. And she had just met Dan, and I know Lizanne just threw up. Sorry. In the boat, and poor Dan just wrapped a towel around her, and he was so sweet, and Dan would never want anybody to feel bad, and so he took care of her and took her home, and I think she was just too mortified to
Why
ever
are we now
see
playing
him
up
again.
The first husband?
No, I wasn't playing him up.
Dan would never do anything wrong, meaning
no.
I would.
No, Larry,
I would have laughed.
I
would have laughed. If I took out a girl who had an enema, I'm falling on the floor. Dan might have been nice. Well, he's Mormon. The Mormons, what are they going to do? Oh, that's very nice. Let's go home. A Jew, I fall on the floor. I fall on the floor.
Well, Dan the Mormon was very sweet.
Naturally.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Anyway, so what's on your bucket list? What do you want to do you haven't done?
I really have. Once I married you, I jumped on a roller coaster that just... I just want to unbuckle my seatbelt just for a minute and be normal. So that's not a bad thing.
Are you saying I'm a bucket list?
No, I said once I married you...
Yes.
There are so many things that we have done together. I mean, my life before you was purely entertainment. It was television. It was music.
You never thought you'd be sitting around with Yasser Arafat.
I never thought that Gorbachev would feed me caviar.
Yeah.
I mean, and he did at Denise Rich's house. These kinds of things it's crazy. Yes. So my bucket list, I can't think of anything because...
Colin Powell would chastise you.
He chastised me because I didn't answer Larry's phone call. I was in... Have we told this story already?
I think we did, but you were in Nashville and...
Larry was trying to chase me down. And I was in the studio. I was working. I was recording. And Colin was being interviewed by Larry. And
I was not myself.
And Larry was not himself.
I was distraught. I don't know if we told this or we should forget things, but I was distraught because I was trying to reach her all day. This was at the beginning of the romance. When I was in the chase mode, and she knew how to play to the chase mode.
You know what?
I think she probably let the phone ring.
No, I was working.
I know, okay.
And work is important.
Sure, okay.
Especially when you're a single mother and trying to really accomplish. Pull out the violins, but it's true.
Now, so she didn't call me back all day. And then finally, I'm on the air, and Colin knew something was wrong. He said, "What's the matter?" And I was saying, "I met this girl." And now I'm on commercial break, and I'm sorry, I met this girl. And finally, one of the producers came in and said, Julie said, Shawn called. She's fine. She was rehearsing all day, was recording all day, and she'll call you, or you call her right after the show. And I completely got relieved, that sense of urgency. And now I'm just on top of the world. And then as soon as we finished the show, Colin Powell said, "Call her. I want to talk to her."
And he goes, once he got on the phone, he said, "Young lady, don't you ever do that again. I was about to call out the National Guard."
And he could have.
And he could have. And so that's why I don't have a bucket list, because my life is so bizarre. At any moment, I never know what's going to happen.
Shawn is really strange, and Chance inherited this from her.
Really?
Chance will go on any ride, anywhere.
How is that strange?
Because I think it's strange.
I call you the strange one. I call you Chicken.
All right, Lizanne, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
How can you be paying attention if you're looking at your damn cell phone? Anyway, I hate those things.
Boy, you are bossy, Larry.
Wow.
Where did that come from?
Years of torment.
But being the boss.
We're in Coney Island. There's a ride in Coney Island called the Slingshot.
It's the best ride ever.
There's 2 little seats. You sit in. She gets in with her son Chance, who at that time was 10. Chance would go on anything. Roller coaster that go upside down, don't matter. Cannon now goes on everything. Cannon used to be afraid to go on these. Cannon was so afraid of this ride, he walked far away in case by mistake they put him on this ride. He went to the other side of the Coney Island Luna Park, and now she sits in this. Here's what this ride does. They stretch you back, it's a slingshot, and they shoot you into the air. You go up on top way up into the air, and they wobble you around.
You don't know. You spin around. So you're not only going up, you're going down, and in many directions. And did I just blow out the mics? Okay, Rich.
So why would you do that? That's what enjoyment did that bring you? What did it bring you?
Just the thrill of not being in control and being just thrown into, just the
every year we've been setting up to do this. I'm going to do this year because I just spoke to him last week.
Who?
The Admiral.
Am I going to go?
Yeah.
So
the Admiral's going to do it in San Diego in May. What? Shawn is going to take off on an aircraft carrier on one of those planes and come back and land where they catch you. Where the plane lands and they catch you.
Oh my gosh!
She's going up on one of those things. They go 1,000 miles an hour, and she's going to listen where the plane's going. The Admiral's worked it out. She's going to go up on a plane, out over the bay, back around San Francisco, back down.
Really?
Yeah, in 10 minutes. And then you're going to land with G-force, and you're going to land on the aircraft carrier. And the pilot's...
That's the part that
you want to know how the pilot is?
Kind of make my toes hurt a little.
The pilot's 20, 21 years old.
Well, this could be a fun 10-minute date.
You remember the submarine?
Oh. Well, I was just going to say, yes, Larry, this same general, Konechny.
Admiral.
Admiral
I just spoke to him.
Oh, what a wonderful man he is. And he
headed the Asian submarine fleet, the whole Pacific submarine fleet.
Big shot guy and wonderful man. And
we went to his retirement.
He sang the national anthem at his retirement.
In Norfolk, Virginia.
Yes. But he wanted to bring us on a submarine.
Nuclear sub.
Yeah, a nuclear sub. And so we go down to Coronado, and we spend the night, and we brought my nephew, Austin, who was like 9 years old, and my brother Paul and his wife, friends. There was a group of us. And so we drive out to the submarine, and the closer we get to the sub, Larry's starting to sweat. He's starting to get all wiggly and starting to whisper.
I was saying, look, I don't have to do this. I can wait here. I'll hang around. I'll go back. I'll have lunch. Go. And they're all prodding me to go. And then the Admiral's sneaking up on me. Suddenly, I'm standing on a boat. And then we're walking. And I said, okay, now you're going to go down. And next thing you know, I'm on this curling thing, going down into the middle of a submarine.
Going down into a hole.
And we go underwater.
Yep. And Larry says, no, who was it that said it? As we're going down, you hear, dive.
Yeah, you hear, dive. And I said, it's like in the movies. And the guy said, where do you think we got it from? Where do you think the movies got it from? But they really do. Dive. Looked up the periscope, saw the nuclear weapons. They were you couldn't set them off. But
Austin got to shoot a blank.
And that trip was the calmest trip. No bumps, nothing, no turbulence.
Really, though, the submarine, and I have claustrophobia, so I was a little bit wiggy about it. But if Larry wasn't going to go, then I wasn't going to have the experience. No. So I just put on my big girl pants and said, I'm going to do this. And big girl pants, where did I get that?
the small girl pants.
No. Well, I am small, but just like a grown-up pants, and put it out of my mind that it was a submarine going underwater, and that other subs had maybe not come up. But
it was wonderful.
It was huge inside, and so I didn't have
not huge. It was cramped.
No, there were beds,
huge.
There were rooms, there was a
they
dining
were all
room,
on top of each
kitchens.
other. A dining room. It's a submarine. It ain't 4 feet wide.
Oh, are you serious? We're going to look it up in the break.
Okay. Anyway, it
was wider than 4 feet.
It's cramped.
It may be a little cramped, but it was.
The captain was 25 years old.
Yeah, they were all kids.
They were all kids.
All young kids.
Yeah, it was really.
Except for the Admiral.
Except for the Admiral and us.
And us, yeah.
And they had a French chef was the cook. You got to have, because they go out for 7 months. You got a bad chef on a submarine.
Yeah.
You're going to kill him.
The chef goes out to shoot.
We have a special guest, Ian Somerhalder, the star of The Vampire Diaries. He's had quite a career. He's going to join us next, right after this break, on
Back and Forth
with
Shawn and
Larry
King.
TrueCar.com is changing car buying forever. Yes, every day TrueCar users receive negotiation-free guaranteed savings. Some features are not available in all states. In fact, the first 6 months of this year, over 275,000 cars were sold by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. TrueCar users save an average of $3,221 off MSRP. You know, when you're ready to buy a car, just follow 3 easy steps. First, go to TrueCar.com. Find out what people paid for the car you're looking for, and then register at TrueCar.com to see upfront pricing information and lock in your savings. Third step, simple. Just print out your TrueCar savings certificate, take it to the TrueCar certified dealer for a better, hassle-free car buying experience. And remember, every day TrueCar users receive negotiation-free guaranteed savings. Save time, save money, and never overpay. Visit TrueCar.com today. That's TrueCar.com.
Have you heard who's been on Kathy Lee and Company?
Here's Kris Jenner to say why she came home with her old friend.
Because you made me.
Ricky Gervais.
Hello.
Hello. Hugh Jackman, I am delighted you are here.
I'm happy for you to continue there.
Regis Philbin, that's right.
What are we doing here?
Dennis Miller, everybody.
How you doing, Kathy Lee?
Andy Cohen.
I rescued a dog.
William Shatner.
Kathy Lee.
Miss Hoda Woman Copy herself. Mr. Glenn Beck with me.
It's not going to be boring.
Download an episode now at podcastone.com. This is Back and Forth with Shawn and Larry King.
We're back with
Back and
Forth
with
Shawn
and
Larry
King.
Here we are.
It's so weird. It's different every time.
Just get to it. Our special guest on this edition of Back and Forth is Ian Somerhalder, star of CW's Vampire Diaries. He plays Damon Salvatore, the elder and more dangerous of the two brothers who share a long and bitter season. This show is in its 6th season, winner of 4 consecutive Teen Choice Awards. He did for Choice TV Actor in a Fantasy Sci-Fi. He has had quite a career. He's very charitable as well. Thanks for joining us, Ian.
Guys, thank you so much. I could not be happier to be on the phone with you guys right now.
Thank you. Ian, before Shawn has the first question, I've got to ask this. Why didn't you change your name for show business?
Why didn't I change the name for what?
Show business.
Show business?
Yeah, like Somerhalder is not exactly a show business name.
Well, you know, that's actually quite a good question.
Thank you.
And I think it's quite a good question. And, you know, I guess I'm pretty darn proud of that name. And I, you know, by virtue of the fact that I think I'm the youngest Somerhalder male in the United States that we know, and growing up as a very, you know, sort of as a lower middle class family in Louisiana, and actually having my mother spend every last dollar we ever had to give me training in order to do what I do now. It was always sort of a sense of pride for me and a sense of engagement to my family. And so it's not quite as long as Schwarzenegger, and my biceps aren't as big. But, you know, I think I'm pretty proud of that name.
I love that
story.
answer. I love that. You know, I wish Larry's name was Lawrence Zeiger.
Right. But they made me change it when I started in radio. This is 1957. They said you can't use Zeiger.
Yeah.
Now you
Really?
can. Yeah, really.
Yep. I would have been Shawn Zeiger.
Actually, by the way, because that's actually a really cool name, because it's like, you know, I don't know what the etymology of it is, but it's almost got this sort of zeitgeist feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's German for watch.
Is it? Oh, well, that's perfect. Ian, oh my gosh.
Keep the time with Larry.
Yeah. You don't know this about Larry, Ian, but he is psychotic about the clock. So that's actually perfect. Yes.
I see it.
We've had many conversations about the clock.
All right, Shawn, pick it up.
Okay, so Ian, so for those that don't know about Vampire Diaries, and tell us about what it's about.
Well, you know, it's crazy.
And your character.
I haven't said this in so long, due to the fact that we're in the
8 gazillionth season, right?
Yeah, in the 20th, 25th season. No, it's so bizarre because, you know, I started this thing. Let me rephrase that. Warner Brothers and Network started this thing years ago, but we're now going into our 6th season. But people always say 6 years, but it's more like saying, it's 5 and a half years now. But when you say 6 seasons of a show, it's 5 years plus whatever it is. So it's more like staying in a hotel for 3 nights and 4 days. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
We definitely have spent some time doing this thing, and I just haven't said this in so long. It was typical in this sort of post-super crazy, huge Twilight success that this is ultimately the story of a, mortal girl and sort of comes in touch with the vampire guy who has a brother, and they both love her, and all hell ensues. But, at the end of the day, and I said this when I was on air with Larry, at the end of the day, and I say this with all due respect and love and appreciation, we started this thing which is ultimately a vampire teen soap opera. And it basically is like that thing, when you see someone in their car in L.A. in traffic and they're scarfing down like a McDonald's Big Mac or a giant before they get home, but they're not supposed to have it. It's that sort of guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
That's what this show ultimately is, which I think Twilight was for many, many, many people. And I played initially in the beginning of this show, I was this bad guy. He was a maniacal killer. He was funny. He was smart. He was witty. He was dangerous. And it was a blast to play. And obviously, like anything, and again, I say this with nothing but love and appreciation, that changes, like life. Life changes. Being on a television show is ultimately like being in a marriage. You don't know what the next day is going to bring, and that's fine. You're at the mercy of the writing, so ultimately your character changes. Film, you start a movie, you know how it begins and how it ends.
Yeah.
And this, you don't know how it ends. And I'm grateful to have played this guy who has scared people, inspired people, and hopefully made someone laugh once or twice at some point over the last 5.5 years.
Wow. Was Lost fun to shoot?
Lost was the most extraordinary experience I think anyone's ever... I say this in all humility. I honestly think being at Mokuleia Beach, which actually is the name of my big orange Hawaiian cat that I pulled off of that beach I found as a kitten. His name is Mokuleia. Being on that beach and being on that show with those actors in that particular period of time when Lloyd Braun had greenlit that show and ABC went from the doldrums of hell to the #1 network basically in the world. Mm-hmm. There was nothing I can compare that feeling to. Because, mind you, listen, remember, this was not a bunch of teenagers or early 20s something. These were established, incredible actors. Matthew Fox, Harold Perrineau, L. Scott Caldwell was in our pilot. Was there with Terry O'Quinn, Naveen Andrews. I mean, these were real actors who were in their late 30s and 40s, and some of them in their 50s. And me to be there as a 25-year-old kid, basically, was truly the most extraordinary thing. And I was the first one cast and the first one killed, and I will always be truly eternal, truly to J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof and Brian Burke and to ABC, obviously. And it's funny, now Mark Bedowitz, who now is the president of the CW, is one of the executives who was one of the heads of ABC at the time who put me on that show. So we have a really long-standing friendship at this point. But I am so eternally grateful to those people I remember testing for Lost. When I did the network test for Lost, typically they test 3 or 4 guys, and J.J. Abrams said, no, this is the guy, just test him. And I remember after I finished my test, where I was making believe, I was digging a hole in the sand, but studio at ABC, and I finished my audition, and J.J. Abrams said, as I live and breathe, ladies and gentlemen, Ian Somerhalder. And I just walked out, and I thought, holy shit, that was the coolest thing ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, you talk about your cat that you found there when you were shooting Lost. You've got a lot of cats, right?
I do now. I've acquired a small pride in a pack of animals. They make your life better in every way, shape, and form. And since, Nikki and I have been together, we've amassed a massive amount of animals. We actually have 9 animal now. We have 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 2 horses.
Wow.
And so it's an exorbitant amount of hooves and paws and tails. But I'll tell you, it's pretty cool. And
do they all get along?
Honestly, it's quite extraordinary. They all get along, and 2 of them are giant German shepherds, and one of them is pit bull. And to see them all lounging and chilling with these cats, and it's very incredible. And actually, believe it or not, we are out in the middle of the woods. I have 1,000 acres in Georgia and an Airstream, and we're actually out here right now, just cooking dinner and being under the stars in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I think the nearest town or hospital is something like 30-something miles away. I mean, we're literally in the middle of nowhere.
Why?
This is the Jew talking now.
You're so funny.
The city Jew.
That's so funny. You know why? It's actually, hey, listen, it's a good question. I'll answer it. Ultimately, there is a certain disconnect that you get, and I mean this, and not to sound too cerebral about it, but on a very molecular level, when you get out of a city, there is a certain electromagnetic frequency component of the city that really alters your state of being as a human being.
No question.
Being out here, where the most powerful thing is your cell phone, it's quite extraordinary. And when you're running everything off solar, and when you're literally living with minute, everything in this Airstream it's all zero net carbon, it's all LED, and everything is it's incredible. And it's incredible. And going on we went on a nature walk. We call it a run. It's really just sort of exercising, is running around. And if you run around my property, it's actually 10.5 miles.
Wow. So nighttime. So there are no city lights around you. The skies at night are lit up.
There's nothing. It's just stars and moon. That's it.
That is, I want to go.
Where did we see that once? We saw that once.
We saw that. I've seen it many times at Lake Powell. And where did you and I?
You're Shawn and Larry King. You can see that whenever you want. Larry, the cities have been so good to you. And
yeah, I guess.
Well, Ian, you don't understand. Larry doesn't like to leave the city.
I'm a city guy, Ian.
He is a city boy, and I'm more. Well, I'm city, but I do like going out and camping
But I want to ask you before we get too much into this. Saturday night, December 6th at 9 p.m. Only a day. That's
it's 1.5 days away.
Tell me about the Omaz charity raffle.
Omaze.
Omaze. So listen. Larry, it's pretty awesome that you guys asked this. Listen, let me just thank you first and foremost. I know you guys could be talking to anyone. And I know I may sound like an airline pilot thanking you for flying our airline. But, thank you for taking time to talk about this, because you could be talking to anyone. And, Omaze is actually quite amazing. It's a fundraising platform that ultimately allows, and I don't want to use the word fans, but I would say an audience, to be able to participate in a fundraising platform for an organization and get something out of it. So for Omaze, basically, for the last number of weeks, we've been saying, listen, Warner Brothers and the CW and the powers that be of Vampire Diaries were so freaking incredible, and actually allowed me to be able to shoot a scene in the show for Vampire Diaries, a bonus scene for the Vampire Diaries, with someone who wins a raffle. So basically it's $10. You enter to win.
Wow.
And you literally can come, and we fly you in. We put you at this ginormous old 1830s plantation home that is ultimately a set, part of our show, which is an incredible home. We have dinner, we hang out, we go to the set, and then we shoot a scene together. It's actually incredible when you think about it. And the Omaze the platform that they've built and how amazing they are is incredible. Breaking Bad did it, and they raised a ton of cash. I mean, obviously, I'd pay a shitload of money to hang out with Bryan Cranston. Aaron Paul, I can whenever I want. I love him, but Bryan's a genius, and he's amazing.
Where does the money go to?
It goes to ISF. It goes to my foundation. Well, let me rephrase that. Our organization. It goes to the Ian Somerhalder Foundation, and it really, truly allows us to be able to operate and do the things that we know that we need to do to make the future the best possible future. And the only way that we know how to do that, and Larry, you and I have spoken about this ad nauseum, basically, and, Larry was incredible in holding this Gulf, the Gulf oil spill aid telethon. I mean, that was where Larry and I got to meet this legend and a hero of mine. But I'll tell you, the only way I know how to do this, and that our organization knows how to do this, is through empowering and educating young people. And they're the greatest untapped natural resource in the world, or our youth, bottom line.
Absolutely.
And so why wouldn't we give them the tools? Ultimately, look, they make up half the world, and they're going to be running the world. So why wouldn't we give them the tools to do that? And that is what we are not even aiming to do. It's what we are doing.
That's great.
I just bought this incredible farm down in Louisiana. I bought 100 acres. That's 1 mile of this bayou that I grew up on. And on that, we're going to build an animal sanctuary and a youth education camp. And ultimately, these incredible teepee structures that we're going to do think tanks in. And you guys, I really hope that you'll make the journey. Larry, it's a little bit out of the New Orleans, but not far. It's only about 35 or 40 minutes outside of New Orleans. And to sit there and think, I've spoken to the president about this. I've spoken to heads of state about this, the heads of all types of industries, whether they're oil industries, Coca-Cola, or Tom's. You know what I mean? This next future, we have to shatter paradigms. And it's going to be about getting people from oil companies and solar companies together. It's going to be about getting educators and presidents and CEOs together. And the only way to do that is through young people. And listen, politicians and CEOs, listen. You know why? Because young people, particularly my demographic, 12 to 34-year-old women, are the most powerful group of people in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What they want happens.
Yep.
And particularly in female education, we know that statistically, and this is not just the United States, this is everywhere. And I've spent time in Africa, Asia, every continent, ultimately, that an empowered, educated woman doubles the GDP of that household, ultimately doubling the GDP of that community, that town, that province, that country, that continent, and need I say more. So you know what I mean? So this Omaze thing is really an amazing ability for me to connect with a group of people. And there are also other, people are paying $25,000 for dinners.
That's a dinner with you, right? At the Lockwood Mansion?
But to sit and have an incredible dinner. And I think people ultimately initially were a bit confused, where they said, listen, I don't have that kind of money. Hey, by the way, neither do I. But I'm saying that it was only $10 to enter. It's just that people that want to go a bit further and have a very specific, very quiet evening, if they ultimately have those resources, then they were going to utilize those resources to have that moment.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
We want to plug this, so
you go in order to enter, you can go to www.omaze, that's OMAZE.com/experiences, and you just scroll down to enter.
Yeah,
right?
It's only $10 to enter.
Yeah.
That's not a lot. Can you enter multiple times?
I believe you can. Absolutely.
If I were you, I'd make it that way.
All right, let's repeat that. www.omaze.com/experiences. And at midnight, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, there's a chance to win.
Wait.
Pacific.
Oh, there you go. It starts. Okay, got it.
A chance to win a round-trip flight to Atlanta from anywhere in the world. You'll go a day on the set of The Vampire Diaries. Yourself will be featured in a bonus scene with Ian, and you'll stay the night in the guest suite at the Lockwood Mansion. That's
staying a night with Ian in the guest suite? Or, wait, well, how does that work? Wait.
No,
Wishful thinking, Shawn.
I'm teasing.
By the way, Ian, a couple of other things. We have about 5 minutes left. You were featured in People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive. What was that like, Ian?
With your cat, that was the cat sound.
Larry, I think. Wait, wasn't that you this month on the that was the Hemsworth guy.
I was in the forthcoming geriatric issue for people in their 80s who still somehow have some sort of appeal. It's called the grandma section.
That's incredible.
What did that do for your career?
He's already got his career. Yeah,
you know what's amazing? By the way, listen, this one thing this thing that People does is, I don't really know what that means. All I know is that I got to hang out in one of my dearest brother's beautiful homes in Atlanta where we shot it. I got to be with my cat, my big Hawaiian dude, around my neck.
Is that the one that's in the picture here that I'm looking at?
Yeah, man. And honestly, we were literally listening to jazz on a 1961 Columbia record player that he had, that was his granddaddy's, that we had restored, that plays 10 records all day, and listening to Miles Davis and all these super bootleg copies of jazz albums.
Wow.
Norman Reedus actually went there to shoot. We had our kids, our cats, obviously. And, I honestly think I started, sipping on Chablis by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and really just enjoying the time with my cat and my friends. And so I'm grateful for People for doing that.
What a great experience. One of those, that's a bucket list thing to check off, right? Do you have anything? We were talking earlier about bucket lists. Do you have anything on your bucket list? Or are you too young to have started one?
I hear this thing called a bucket list, and I always say to myself, every single day I wake up, there's something I do. And I say, by the way, let me make this extremely clear. I think this is for everyone who can walk, talk, eat, sleep, breathe, anything. I think I wake up every single day, and this is not like, I'm not like, I know Larry's heard this a million times. I'm not giving you the bureaucratic run around where I tell you a lot without telling you anything at all. I honestly think that every day I wake up, I get to do things that are bucket list worthy, and I check them off all the time. Wow, that happened. Wow, this happened. It's just what you want to see. If someone says, hey, I want to go to Paris and fall in love, well, that's asking a lot. I mean, there's something amazing about an incredible sunset where you actually feel good and healthy, or getting a job that you want, or things like that. They're everywhere. They're abundant, these bucket list things. And yeah, I mean, some of them are really cool. Like, I don't, if my bucket list is like getting abducted by some alien riding like a comet, then cool. That may not happen. But
you're a vampire. What kind of bucket list does a vampire have? You're going to live 7,000 years and you kill people.
Exactly. I kill whoever I want, and I get whatever I want, and life could be a lot worse. But, I'll tell you, we've all done this. I'll tell you, we've all worked very hard to do what we do, and the voice that we've all acquired, and I say this with all humility and love, that I'm so grateful. Larry, you know this about me, that you are a huge hero of mine, and to be sitting here on my property in Georgia, I had a sip of this old Spanish Rioja that I actually just sipped out of the bottle because I can't find my glass of wine. And looking at the stars and talking to you two about this Omaze experience and ultimately changing the world by virtue of raising money in an incredible, very organic platform, is a bucket list item. It's something that's so profoundly amazing to me. And
Ian, you're a special guy. I have only one question that has probably never been asked.
Uh-oh.
What blood type does a vampire prefer?
You know, I'm A negative. And so
anyone works for you.
It's funny because I've researched blood types, and not only from a health perspective, but I remember researching blood types. And my mother, my mom's a quarter Choctaw Indian, and she's this incredible, holistic medicine woman. I grew up with all Eastern medicine, never really took drugs. Well, whoa, that sounds weird. Never took a lot of Western pharmaceutical drugs and stuff growing up, and it was a lot of herbs and spices and oils and things. But I've often, I remember Paul Leslie and I were talking about that. I said, I wonder what is the most incredible blood type, right? Well, they're different, and actually it's quite interesting. The A family, A negative, A positive, AB negative, there's not a lot of meats involved and a lot of acidity. It's all a very alkaline type diet. You have O positive, you have Bs. And I always thought, I grew up, my family had farms and things, but I truly prefer to eat things that are vegetables. I have a ginormous problem with the meat and dairy industry in this country. I think most of us do, just by virtue of its practices.
Ian, we're running out of time. I asked a simple question. What does a vampire blood like to suck? And you've got me off on a tangent.
Hey, Larry, what's your blood type? Do you know? Do you even know your blood type?
I know mine.
What's yours?
O negative.
What is she like then?
What do I like?
No, Ian, would you like to have O negative? Would you like to have Shawn's blood?
I'll take it right now. Done. Give me a goblet. Shawn, I'll tell you what.
I'm just leaning into the mic here. You got my neck right here if you can reach through.
There you go. Pull it. Exit. I totally forgot to be a lot more concise, Larry King, man. You better have your game on.
We got to go. Ian,
you're great.
You are a delight.
But can I just say, as you've been talking and telling us about who you are and what you're about, you were raised so well. Somebody did a great job with you, and kudos to
he's a great guy.
Your mom, whoever it was that did it.
My whole family, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, my surrogate mom and dad, my entire family is just, I'm so grateful for them. And by the way, ditto for both of you. Thank you for your time, your efforts, and your love. I can't thank you enough. And if you can drive as much traffic to omaze.com/Ian or omaze.com/experiences, the world will thank you because it's going to really help me do the things that I know that.
Thanks, Ian.
Well, it's going up on our Twitter for sure. Both Shawnee Ora and King's Things are going to tweet about Omaze.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, baby.
Okay. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Take care.
Ian Somerhalder. We'll be right back with
Shawn. No, wait. What are we?
We'll be right back.
I forgot. Back and forth with Shawn and Larry King.
I think she's fallen in love. We'll be back after these words.
With the holidays right around the corner, there's only one place to go for all your shopping needs, and that's Amazon.com. Amazon helps support the podcast and keeps it free by offering the show a small commission, which keeps our lights on and keeps us coming to you for free. So, by the way, I think everything on Amazon. The next time you purchase something from Amazon, go to podcast1.com and click on the Keep It Free banner located on the top of the homepage. Click on our show banner and you'll find Amazon as well as other sponsors that help support this program. You can even use our Amazon banner if you're located in Canada or the UK. Again, that's go to podcast1.com, click on the Keep It Free banner to support Amazon and all my wonderful sponsors that help make this show possible. Thank you, and now, back to the show.
We return now to Back and Forth with Shawn and Larry King.
We're back with Back and Forth with
Shawn and Larry King.
Ah, good girl. You remembered it. You liked him, huh, Ian?
Oh, what a sweetheart. Oh, my gosh.
Great guy.
And smart and just...
special.
Very.
And not good looking at all.
Hideous.
Yeah, hideous.
Got to squint to look at him.
Yeah, scars everywhere. That's why he's out there in Georgia.
That's right. Because people run away from him.
He can't be seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shawn wanted to discuss my proposal. So,
no, well, that's a
go ahead. You want
we were going to ease on into this.
How do you ease in? You go.
No, okay, here we go. Larry, first of all, I do have to say, you are a world champion.
Quarter.
That's the word, but not Quarter, but Courter. He just, man, when he is in chase mode, there is no stopping him. And going back to, I'm starting to feel like our audience is family because we've told little bits and pieces of.
That's our purpose of this.
But when we met, I had told him that, I wasn't really, I had just broken up with someone. I wasn't quite ready to start dating. And what I didn't know was saying that was like waving a red flag in front of a bull.
You found me out. But I think all along you kind of knew.
No, I did. I really absolutely did not know. And so I just kept, kind of keeping a normal distance when you meet somebody that I just really liked you a lot. I thought you were so nice and so smart and very funny but all of a sudden I started getting these deliveries to my door. I got Joe's stone crabs from just crates of Joe's stone crabs to my parents' house with apple pie and key lime pie and the mallets that you hit the stone crabs with. I mean, it was just kind of like these wacky things. Not
maraschino cherries.
There was no car that was delivered to my front door with a big red bow in it, but I got like cases of my very favorite candy, hot tamales and licorice nibs, and it was adorable.
It was the old Jewish poor.
No, but it was so cute. But I was in the hospital. I had a little female operation. It was not cosmetic surgery, contrary to what many people would like to believe. But no, I actually had endometriosis, and so we were going in to take care of that. And Larry came to the hospital, and he says, he's just so romantic. I'm lying in bed, and he says, "Listen, I'm too old for this. So why don't we just say that the offer is in the table, because should you deny me, this would be a knife in my heart. So if you should decide that you would like to move forward, why don't you just give me some sort of signal? It could be a hand signal. It could be, we figure it out. And then we take it from there." This is Larry King's proposal to his wife of
what did you
how
say?
Many years? I said, well, let's take a little minute.
Did you ever do the signal?
We did the signal. I did.
What was the signal?
Well, the audience can't hear or see it, but it was a clap of the hand, and then it was like a I don't know, what is that, traveling ball signal when you're in basketball,
yeah,
rolling my hands, and then another slap, and then like a bird flying in the air. That was the signal. We made it up. I made it up, and at one point when we finally got engaged, I did that. Did the twirl, did the bird flying through the air, and you knew that it was okay.
On the day of our engagement, I got my star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Shawn had a vicious migraine headache.
Yeah.
And we were walking down the street on Rodeo Drive, and we made a left turn into Harry Winston. A left turn. By the way, a kind of a left turn where her arm was in mine, and it turned me.
That is not true.
Anyway, okay.
Larry likes to make me look like
I'm showing the ring to the people of the studio. This is the result of that little visit.
That was the result. It's kind of cute.
Kind of cute. You signal ships. But she had such a migraine that she couldn't have dinner that night. I had dinner with Warren Beatty at the Palm.
And that's a migraine. That is a real migraine.
Yeah, you didn't go.
When you turned down dinner with Warren Beatty. But we've had dinner with him and Annette since, and many times, and they're great.
And that's in a new movie with Al Pacino, The Humbling.
Yes, but that just sounded like I was dropping a name, and I didn't mean to do that. I hate that when people do that. Yuck! Bleh. So sorry.
That's like that great line going around. You hear this? As Tom Cruise told me the other day, don't you hate people who drop names?
And on that note.
Okay, this has been what a wonderful time we're having. We'll be back again next week with
Back and Forth
with
Shawn and Larry
King. Thanks for joining us, folks. See you next week.
Happy holidays.
More surprises coming.
Thanks for listening to Back and Forth with Shawn and Larry King. Download new episodes every week right here at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.